Well, good morning. I'm Aaron Bowman, W4ARB, and I am a CW operator. I love to operate CW in the field. Share it with you here on YouTube. So this morning I'm out here in Tuskegee National Forest. Again, imagine that. And I brought with me my Icom IC705. And today I'm going to be using an antenna that takes me back to my Parks on the Air roots, and that is the Gabil GRA-7350T, which is an antenna that I used to love and use all the time, and I just haven't used it in a long time. So I'll say long time. I've used it, but I used to use this antenna like every activation, and I don't do that anymore. But kind of want to give it a shot again. See if I still love it as much as I used to. Okay, I think that is everything I need. So one thing that I loved about this particular setup is it's pretty simple. It doesn't take much gear. So I've got the radio, of course. Got my pouch here with the key, logbook, etc. Tripod. Coax, of course. I've got a counterpoise wire, and then the antenna itself. So this is probably a pretty common setup that a lot of you may use something similar. And yeah, we'll see if it's still as good as I used to think it was. I feel like our opinions may change over time. At least what we enjoy using and get used to using changes over time. I've been using the Alex loop kind of as my quick setup antenna, whereas this used to be my quick setup antenna. I want to see if it has the merits that I once thought it did. Maybe it does. Remember I used this, not on video, but I used it probably 6 months ago or so. And I had a little bit of a hard time tuning it, which is weird because I never used to have any issue tuning it. So anyway, see how that goes. So I've got the tripod here. This is the Gabil tripod, GRA-ULT-01. Now mine is, I don't remember, Mark 1 or Mark 2, and I think the Mark 3 is the current version. But great tripod. And this counterpoise wire hasn't been undone in a while. And it seems to be rather tangled. So excuse the fun of watching me untangle a wire here. This particular counterpoise wire is pretty prone to tangling. It actually is a counterpoise wire that came with a buddy pole antenna. Okay. Now, I'm going to do one raised radial with this. So let's get that going. So I just got this big terminal on there. Just goes right over the UHF connector. And I'm going to take the other end of this and I'm going to run it to something over there and tie it to a little branch. Okay, one raised radial has been deployed. So a raised radial is significantly more efficient than ground radials for not vertical antennas, but especially for compromised vertical antennas like this where it's short. It can make a big difference. And supposed to be cut for a quarter wave of the band that you want to operate on. This one is not a quarter wave of 40 meters, but I used to be able to get this to tune on 40 through 20 without shortening it. And I don't remember how long this particular radial is. We'll see. Maybe it'll tune, maybe it won't. Probably going to start on 40. It's a pretty short antenna. About 8 feet. So it's comparable if you think of it like a hamstick. Excuse me, I believe there's some loud vehicles coming through. Alright, got my piece of coax here. Cover off the radio. Turn that on. Alright, key and logbook stuff. And that's that. Okay. Now, let's see about tuning this antenna. I'm going to start moving the coil and try to adjust it until I get the loudest background noise on the band first. So, hopefully you should be able to hear it as the noise comes up, other than the background noise of traffic. So hopefully you can hear that okay. Alright, let me loosen this little lock nut. Start sliding it up. Definitely louder. Now I'm going to come over here, set this to my meter setting. I'm at about a little over 3. We're going up. Let's do it the other way. Alright, we're going to kind of start up at the top here. Okay, we went down and back up. Well, that's problematic. Because it never dropped below 3. Yeah, it appears like about the best I can get is a 3. So let's see. With this radial, I don't think I'm going to get this to tune on 40 now. It's very strange because I used to get this to tune every single time. Alright, let's try it on 30. Watch it tune 30 fine. Right, 30 used to be around in this range. Alright, let's see. Oh yeah, we're going to tune 30, no problem. That's a little under 2. 1.5. Okay. Right there we're at about a 1.4 to 1. So that will do just fine. So we're gonna go with that. We'll start on 30 meters this morning instead of 40. Because that's what is tuning easier. Now I don't remember. I don't know what the difference would be. Because I used to be able to tune it with this exact counterpoise on 40 meters with no problem. I don't know what the difference is. Could be the piece of coax. Could be the fact that I have a choke on this piece of coax. It may have been using my coax as a counterpoise lengthener before. I don't know. Not really that worried about it. I could probably swap my coax around where the choke is closer to the radio instead of closer to the antenna. And that very well may tune on 40 meters at that point. In fact, what the heck? Let's give that a try. I bet that's what the difference used to be. Now, I used to use a 20 or 25 foot piece of coax. This is a 15. But if it gets us any better of SWR, then it confirms that that's exactly what was happening. Alright, so let me kind of stretch this out, see if I can get a little length from it. Okay. Now let's see what happens. I'm already getting a better SWR. That's a 3, under a 3. Getting a little over. Somebody else tuning. So there you go, that's a 3 to 1. So that's what used to happen. I had my coax acting as a counterpoise. Fun times. Good experiment. Now we know. I'm going to go back to 30 meters. I'm going to leave my choke up here by the antenna because I don't want the counterpoise to, or the coax to act as a counterpoise. Let's move. There are scenarios where using a counterpoise or using coax as a counterpoise is valid and fine. It can work. But I love 30 meters. And obviously this is working better on 30 meters. I think that this counterpoise wire is cut for 30 meters. Pretty sure. Which means I think it's about 23 feet long, if I remember right. Hopefully that's a quarter wave on 30 meters. Not 100% sure. But that's more efficient. So we're going to go with that. All right, let me get my log written out, my spot ready to put in. And I'm going to get the camera around a little bit closer so you can see in here a tad better. And we'll be on the air here in just a moment. All right. That should be a little bit better angle for you to be able to see and hear as I operate. And I've got my spot ready to put into the Parks on the Air page. And ready to rock and roll. So, let's call QRL just to make sure that this frequency is indeed clear. Been listening to it for a minute. I'm on 10.112. And we'll get started calling CQ and make some contacts this morning. See how the old Gabil performs after several months of laying dormant. All right, all sounds good to me. Spot submitted. 30 meters might be a little bit slower this early in the morning. We will see. Man, it drives me crazy. Little magnet cover on my cup. It says Yeti. It's on there backwards. Flip that around. I'm not a perfectionist, but there's certain things that just drive me nuts. Now you know just a little bit more about me. K4NYX. Florida. Little QSB there, but it's working. Michigan. Alright, so the last one was K8PTX. This is K4SP. Give me a 449 in Virginia. Alright, very good, very good. Well, that's 4, K4SN. At least I think that was right. I need to double check that call. Put a little star by it. That's what I do in my logbook, by the way. See right there, I put a little star. That way I know, hey, I need to go back and check this call sign later. I'll listen back on the video. Nice cheat code of recording video. guess those last four. Alright, so you got KF9R, AA8CL, N4ASF, and lastly was KN4TOF. Very good. So it's got 8 in the log so far. I would say the Gabil is performing just fine. See what my RBN numbers look like. 7, 17, 30, 23. Yeah, pretty respectable decibel numbers. WS4Y. Gotcha. Wow, I got you. Make sure that call was right. N11CUU, Pennsylvania. Yep, got it. was a weak signal, but got you in the log. Thanks for the contact. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 so far. So at this point, this is a good successful activation. Nice strong signal. Z3J. Gotcha. All right. So AC6NT. WD4 Dan. All right, Dan. .23 words a minute. That's actually my favorite speed to key and copy. Just feel like the sound of the characters is very distinct at 23 words a minute. It's kind of like a sweet spot. But I kind of stay around 21, 22 most of the time activating. I feel like sometimes hunters will get scared off. Oop. What I'm saying is I don't want hunters to get scared off if they're newer to CW, because I'll happily slow down. I'll give Farnsworth spacing, or I'll slow my keyer speed down. I feel like a lot of times, once it gets above like 23 words a minute, they may see that speed on the Parks on the Air page and say, I'm not going to chase that person because it's going too fast for me. I don't want folks to feel that way, so if you do ever see my spot, no, I will slow down. Probably my initial will be to do Farnsworth spacing. And if you have any trouble, send a question mark or QRS, and I'll grab this knob right here and I'll turn it down to 12 words a minute if you want. It's good with me. Yeah, those last few. Let's go through them. N1CUU, K2ZC, AC6NT, WZ3J, WD4DAN, and KA2L. So that's got me at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is 10. 14, 15, so I'm at 16 contacts so far. I'd say this antenna is certainly working. Good to hear you this morning, sir. N3VO. can feel my contact spacing. Well, that came up to a solid 5.9. My contact spacing's a little off. The dit side, which is most people's DA side, because I key backwards like a weirdo, is a little bit more space. Let me adjust it real quick. I keep my handy dandy little wrenches in my pouch. Let me adjust this real quick. It's going to be a fraction of a turn. Let's see how that feels. That was it. Feels great now. So I keep them right here. Always good to keep those handy. The last one, by the way, was KQ4EFU. It's got me at 18 contacts. Let's see. Curious how some of the higher bands are doing. Man, 40 meters, 10, and 20 are hopping right now. According to this, sorry about that, storage on my iPad got full. So, I believe you missed one contact there. Let me make sure. One thing. Do, 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 do. Yeah, but anyway, we're back at it. So the contact you missed was WW5BL in Oklahoma. Forgot to clear up some videos. I have a pretty small storage on my iPad. I think it's a 64 gig, real small. And I think I had 3 activations on it still. So cleared the oldest one out. We should be good to go here. I think I might go to 20 meters here in just a second. Let's go to 20 meters. Okay. Switch that to 14. Yeah, I'm not going to move the camera just for this. All I'm going to do is slide this coil down a little bit. And I'm going to check my SWR as I do it. And really, that should be it. So I'm just going to keep you right there. I'll slide this coil down. Wait for loudest noise. It's pretty darn loud. It's 1.6. Come down some. 1.4. Perfect. We're at about 1.2. Really, that's all there is to it. Oh yeah, I'm at 1.2. I don't hear anything on this frequency. Let's call it QRL anyway. I'm going to turn my keyer speed up to 22. I keep messing up at 21. And off we go. It's funny, I let go of my key and now I got a 1-to-1 SWR match. Grab it, goes back up to 1.2. Goes to show everything around you impacts your antenna match. Not to overthink it, but just to realize that sometimes you gotta think about things. I found that if your key lowers SWR, grabbing your key or grabbing the case of the radio, if that lowers your SWR, then it normally means you need more counterpoise wire for verticals or more radials. K2EJT. Hi, good to hear you, Evan. K2EJT. Good YouTube channel. Go check him out if you haven't. K2EJT. W1TI. Okay, K2EJT, W1TI, KG4EXY, and K2ZC again. It's 4 on the log already. In about 4 minutes on 20 meters. That puts me at 23 contacts overall so far. This is K0VU, Minnesota. WI5 GTR. All right, 25. WI5D. It's going to be Missouri. So I moved in half a step off, bring in my filters a tad. There we go. 500 will do it just fine. I have my filter at 800, which I like the way it sounds. Being able to hear off the sides. That was WX4D. Puts me at 27 overall. See if I can get 3 more before I pack up. Oh. Gotcha. Yeah. QSB for sure. Accidentally changed my meter off of SWR. I'm at 29 right now. Really got to get to 30 before I can stop. And there's 30. Let's do one more CQ calling. See if there's anyone else out there who wants to get in the log today. By one more, I mean a couple more. What's the difference? for real. Just one more. Okay, I exaggerated. Okay, fine, I'll call QRT. And there you have it, right at 30 contacts. Those last few, by the way, were WA2QLK, WZ9B, and N4XAT. So very nice. I would say that this Gabil antenna held its own just fine. I can see why I used to use it so much. It's a pretty good little package. I think the antenna itself is what, like $120, $130. The tripod is another little over $100. So, you know, all in, you're $250 and got a really pretty good little portable antenna setup. I think it's a respectable little package. So, hey, if you're on the fence about getting one, go for it. If you want a shortened vertical with a sliding coil, screwdriver style that you can just adjust bands in the field, it performs about like a 8-foot vertical would. Probably about the same as if you stuck a ham stick on a tripod, in this scenario with a raised radial. It would perform probably about exactly the same. The difference is that this thing packs down to like 10 inches, 11 inches. So you can stuff it in a backpack, no problem. Whereas a ham stick, well, I guess you can tie it to the back of a backpack or side if you really want, but that would be interesting. That's why I don't use ham sticks, they're too big. But anyway, neither here nor there. I'm gonna pack up now and get to heading out. This is a fun activation. Glad I decided to come out this morning. Almost didn't, but I decided to. And I'm very glad that I did. It's a Monday morning, start of a new week, and it's always an excellent way to start a week. Waking up and doing a little CW stretches my mind a little bit, gets my brain gears turning, and really kind of sets off my Monday in a good light. It's always a good thing. When you start Monday off right, then it kind of seems to cascade down the whole week, if you know what I mean. Alright, I'm going to show breaking this down because I just want you to see how simple this is. You know, one of the things that I am a stickler for is simplicity of setup and breakdown, because I activate so much. I activate just about every other day, and in order for that to be possible, I've got to be able to set up and break down in under 5 minutes. Otherwise, it's just not practical for me to activate that often. If it's going to take me half an hour to set up, then half an hour to break down, well, I might only get 10-15 minutes on the air when I activate mornings like I do. So if I got 5 minutes to set up, 5 minutes to break down, let's say I'm going to be here an hour overall, well, that gives me 50 minutes on the air. That's a good activation. Alright, let me flip this camera around. There we go, just show it from this side so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. I'm not the best at camera angles. Okay, let's wind up my coax this way. I haven't been doing that, but I need it to be a little bit smaller in this backpack. I know this is probably not fantastic for the coax, but I just don't care, man. I use my radio gear, and if it breaks, I'll replace it. So I'm going to do what makes sense for how I pack it. I always have a spare piece of coax anyway. This is ABR Industries with the little choke on it. It's pretty solid stuff. Velcro strap around it. Now that pack nice. ABR Industries 316. Bought off of Ham Radio Outlet. Just a little tip that I learned recently. I used to order ABR Industries directly from ABR Industries. And I realized that Ham Radio Outlet actually has a big stock of ABR Industries and all kinds of things that you would have to custom build on ABR Industries website. And the price on Ham Radio Outlet is better. So like you may save $10 or so on a piece of coax by going to HRO. There's not pictures though, so you're gonna have to really read the descriptions to know what you're getting. But I'll link this one. It's a 15-foot piece of ABR 316. Alright, so there's the antenna. Look at that. I mean, that thing breaks down tiny. Tiny, tiny, tiny. It also will handle 100 watts. I've never pushed 100 watts through it, but supposedly it will. Okay, and there's the tripod, my one counterpoise wire. Now, I'm not going to show it, but all I do is I've got it running off of this ring terminal here, and it is held up off the ground by about maybe 1.5 feet. It's not like terribly high off the ground. And I just found a little sapling over there that's sticking up off the ground and tied it to it. Don't overthink race radios. You don't need to carry stuff with you. I've tied a stick on the end of it before and just put it far enough away that it just kind of slopes down to the ground. That works too. Maybe not as well, but hey, it does work. All right, let me go untie this. But I'm telling you, if you get one raised counterpoise wire like this versus like what Chameleon recommends, where you take one counterpoise wire and just lay it on the ground, trust me, once you try it raised, it's a totally different ball game. May require a little bit more thinking while you're setting it up, but 1/4 wave, or roughly thereabouts. This is not a 1/4 wave on both bands I just operated, and it worked fine. But one raised radial will perform pretty respectably. But if you're going to lay them on the ground, don't use just one. You're going to lose most of your power to the ground. And at QRP, that's no bueno. So I don't like using one counterpoise wire on the ground, especially for a shortened vertical running QRP. That's bad practice. Okay, love this tripod. I do need to get the new style of little heads here. It has the coax that comes down through the bottom, whereas this one has it come out the side. And you can see how that's kind of sagged over the years. And that's going to be a failure point. It'll short out eventually. And there we have it. So, 705, okay, which has a reputation of being a pretty giant radio. It's not tiny compared to a lot, but let me show you my whole station here. That's the whole station. Pick it up for showing the size. I mean, I think you can fit that in your backpack. Just saying. That's why I like the Gabil. Alright, got my Icom backpack here, which I think I've told this story before. It came with the radio. I think it's overpriced, but it came with my radio. I bought it used, so I might as well use it. And I put my radio in the bottom compartment because I have the Windcamp gauge on it. Let me pull. I also have the pack antenna in here. Let me pull that in my Elecraft T1 tuner out while I stick this down in. Stick that right there. Put the T1 right here. Coax, counterpoise. We'll stick the pack antenna right in there. A wedge in there nicely. Put my pouch. Been using that pouch for a long time. I love it. It's always linked in the description if you ever want it. It's a cheap little pouch off of Amazon, wax canvas. Perfect for a logbook and a key and a cable for your key. It's just perfect. There's that. The antenna. I'll stick in this little side thing here. And we're packed up. Ready to roll. And my Icom ID50 over here on the side. I've been carrying an FT3D for a long time and decided to switch to an ID50. Mainly because USB charging and because the batteries are cross-compatible with the 705. So like I've got the BP307 on my 705, but if that battery runs low and I'm in the field operating, I can steal the battery off of this HT and run for another hour and a half, 2 hours. That's pretty handy. I like that. And if I don't need it, well, my HT is fully charged. So there you have it. All right, well, that's the activation. I'm gonna sign off here and say 73 from W4ARB here in the beautiful and foggy Tuskegee National Forest. Catch you in the next video.